Welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Today we partner with DV8 Off-Road. We're going to install their heavy-duty Spec Series off-road bumper on my GMC Sierra AT4. It's going to definitely transform the back of this vehicle, so let's go. So before we get into the install, let's just talk about a few things to get yourself prepared. I recommend printing out the manual. It does say that 3 hours of time is required. I think that's accounting for beer, soda, carbonated water, maybe all three, maybe none of the above, whatever your vice is. I think you have some wiggle room in that time period. But let me talk about some of the highlights of this bumper and why I think it's going to be great for my project. So my GMC Sierra comes with every conceivable option that would be tied to this bumper. So the parking sensors, blind spot monitoring, all the trailer tech, it's here included in this bumper. And the good news is we have no cutting, no drama to transfer everything from here over to here. So bonus points to DV8 Off-Road for allowing this type of installation. So this is solid steel. We have 5mm plate steel and 3mm plate steel, depending on the sections that you're looking at. Very strong. I pity anybody that might tap into this bumper down the road because they are going to take the damage, not me. We have provisions for our blind spot monitoring. We have the ability to add 3-inch cubes, which we'll definitely do at some point here. We have all the cutouts to transfer everything over, including our license plate lights, our spare tire access, our trailer plugs. It's all here. They even have provisions for your cable ties to keep everything nice and secure. And they really have thought of everything, because if you have exhaust pipes that stick out the back like I do, mine's aftermarket, but you have these shrouds that will fit the factory exhaust tips. I think I'll still be able to use these, which I'd like to, but we'll figure that out when we cross that bridge. Now you can see I've laid a blanket down here. That's because this is going to be a dirty job. This truck gets used, and we are going for a more aggressive look, so this bumper is definitely going to achieve that, as well as that stuff over there, which you can just ignore in this video for now because that's for the subscribers. So definitely subscribe to this video if you want to see what's going on with that in an upcoming video. Now, as for removing the bumper, it really comes down to two phases. We have to undo all the electrical, and then we have to undo all the hardware. And then I'll get Mrs. Don's Life to come out here because she's really strong. And then we'll pull the bumper off. We'll bring it over here, and then we'll transfer all of the tech and all of the guts into this bumper right here, and then put this one back on, and we'll do the reveal. Okay, here we are under the truck. Keep in mind all this extra wiring you might not have because I have my Freedom Blade tailgate light bar tucked up in here. So first I'm gonna have to unclip some of these cable ties just so I can get to the proper harness, which is this one right here, because this is connected to the bumper. So we need that undone. Now there's a red clip up here. We're gonna use a pick tool, pull it back, and then depress the button to pull this out. Next, we gotta take this plug off. Again, I've got all this extra wiring here. So we gotta pull this white clip back. It's gonna be tough to see, but there's a white retaining clip, and then we can push the button to pull the harness out of the back. You might get a mouthful of sand. That's okay, just don't ingest it. Now, if you're lucky like me, I don't know if it's lucky, but my clip came off, but that's okay, it just means the lock's out of the way. There we go. Oh, look at that, we got some moisture buildup in there. You can see there's some moisture in there, but it hasn't made contact with here, but we'll definitely have to consider that when we put it back together. Okay, now we got to see which harnesses are still going to connect the body of the truck to the bumper. So we're going to have to back this off. We're going to have to undo this. We're going to have to undo the wiring right there. So it's a little bit difficult to see, but once we undo this stuff, we should be able to undo the bolts and pull this off. I'm just going to squeeze the tabs on the side of here, and that should let us push this out the front of the bumper, and then we can disconnect the cameras. Now, I've had safety glasses on this whole time, so definitely make sure you're wearing these when you're doing this install, especially if you're under the vehicle. So now we'll just unplug our cameras. You might have to wrestle with it a bit, but you want to get these off. Next, we want to take off this tube here, which is for the spare tire. There's just these tabs on the side you need to push in. Now that's clamped together, and we can pull this out. And we didn't really need to pull this off yet, but at some point we're going to need to, but these are done. Okay, now we have 2 more plugs to undo here, and then we have to undo these 2 bolts. Pull the locking tab back. There we go. That one's a lot easier. So next we'll undo the 13mm bolts on these brackets. Look at my wrap starting to come off there. Might be time to take off the green wrap. Go back to white. Okay, 4 more bolts to go. Get them started with the ratchet. So Mrs. Dawn's Life is here to help me do the heavy lifting. Remember, this is recommended to have 2 people for this part. Oh, you're pinching my thumb.
Sorry.
She's always trying to hurt me. Hey, it is as heavy as I thought.
Oh, it's light. You could have did this on your own.
Well, I didn't want to show off, you know. Do you need to take a break?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you. And don't forget to hydrate. This is hard work. And before you forget, while the bumper's off, take off these side brackets. So now we have to finish getting all the wiring out, and then we'll transfer everything over. So you just want to use a tool like this, and you can start to get the harnesses all pulled out. It's really not that difficult. Just one at a time. And then for these sensors, you have to be careful. You just want to gently pry these tabs apart and wiggle the sensor out. Okay, everything's taken off. I'm gonna clean some of these things up a little bit before I transfer them over. All right, we just about have everything assembled. A few things I want to show you first. Our lane departure sensors are hooked up. In the instructions, it suggests that you back off this wire loom and this tape here, and then that will relieve some pressure on this joint. But I found if we zip tied it this way right here, this still has enough flexibility that we didn't have to do that. So that's a personal choice. And then all throughout, you can start to zip tie and secure all of your wiring here. All of my parking sensors are installed. I used a little bit of hot glue just to hold them in just a little better, because what you're going to find is there's very low tolerances here, and this is a thicker plate steel than the original bumper. At least it seems that way. So the hot glue is just to help it hold in there a little better. But you will notice once we put it on the truck that my green wrap is starting to fail on these sensors. So we'll probably have to unwrap the truck at some point, because I also don't know if I have enough wrap material here. With the old bumper I did, you wouldn't see this little white patch. But with this bumper, when we put it on, that might show. Now I'm gonna take the wrap off anyway, but if this shows really bad when the new bumper's on here, then we might accelerate the taking off of the wrap and do it in the coming weeks. Another thing I did with these sensors is I connected them like you're supposed to according to the instructions. I used double-sided tape for this one here, but I found that we can still get cable ties in here, so I like what I did there. I feel it's nice and secure. As long as this doesn't get in the way of anything when we go to put it back on, then I'm really happy with that. So we're pretty much ready to go, except I think I'm going to install these shrouds for the exhaust, because these ones here were in the same position for the cutouts on the factory bumper. So I think we'll be okay to pre-install them. So let's do that quick, and then we'll take this and we'll mount it. Okay, the bumper's ready to go. I put some rags on the corner just to protect it so we don't bang into this area here and scratch or chip it. And then I took this tube out because this is really easy to put in. And I was thinking if I'm trying to put the bumper on and line up the little pipe that goes in there, that could be a little bit tricky. So I don't want that in the way. I can put this on last. Okay, those are started so it can't fall. It's not touching the exhaust, so that's good. I can always adjust this. And now we'll go to the other side. I'll just make sure my wiring's connected now. We just need to do a test before any fine tuning. Move this down, make sure it's not going to hit anything. We're okay. And then I gotta make sure it's kind of level, so this looks good here. Just checking my gaps against the body. It's too far that way. Back a bit. That seems pretty good. So I'm just gonna tighten this side up a little bit. Now it looks like it will block my light bar a little bit back there, but there's not really much I can do. I could uninstall the light bar, but I can't move it up because then the tailgate hits it. So we might have to undo the tailgate light bar, or we adhere it to this strip that's angled up on the back here. I'll worry about that later. Right now I want to make sure the fit and the finish is good. Now we'll put this in. Yes, we do. Well, I think we're ready to take it outside and have a closer look. Ladies and gentlemen, the DV8 Off-Road Spec Series bumper for the 2019 and newer GMC Sierra Chevy Silverado half tons. We retain our hitch mount, so that looks really good. We have our aftermarket exhaust peeking out the back here. Your regular tips would just line up with these shrouds. We have our lane departure sensors. We have provisions for some cube lights. We have all of our parking sensors. I'm gonna see if I can get these in black because these ones are white wrapped in green and the wrap's starting to come off. So if I do black there and then just put a black piece of vinyl on the sensor, I think that'll clean it up a little bit, but you can still make it match. Matches what we got going on right now, so I think that looks good. I'm really happy. I'd say it definitely makes it look meaner, definitely more aggressive. Now I won't lie, it did take me more than 3 hours. I did take a few little breaks, had a coffee, ran a couple errands, but I think if you really put your mind to it and got organized, 3 hours is probably pretty accurate. You know, I was worried about this shape right here, but it actually looks good. It looks good. And we don't see the white for the parts that I didn't wrap. So that's a bonus. It's a nice little touch here with the DV8 logo. You know, it looks good. Well, I for one couldn't be happier. The back end, the back bumper looks so much more aggressive. Our Overlander light build is coming together. We have a lot more to do with the front, also from DV8 Off-Road. So we'll definitely do that in some upcoming videos. So you'll want to stay tuned. I'd like to thank DV8 Off-Road for helping make this video happen. I'll leave a link in the video description below so you can check out more. But on that note, if you like today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing and we'll talk to you next time.